The army has not entered just Ashur at all.
Is it on
so
its
those
way?
people fleeing, it would be... Let me just finish, please. So those people fleeing, it would be logical to think that they are fleeing because of the armed groups, and because these armed groups have cut off the international highway. Now, the Syrian army has been asked by people to come in to restore calm and quiet.
Ban Ki-moon, the UN Secretary-General, says 1,000 Syrians have been killed, many of them by your security forces. Do you deny that? Do you accept that the security forces, for whatever reason, have killed hundreds of their own civilian citizens?
The only instance where security forces have fired is when they have been fired at from the beginning, and this is why over 500 up to the moment, up to this morning actually, over 500 people from security and army have been killed. How have these people been killed, for goodness sake, if nobody is firing at them? Now, as for your other question, which I call the golden question, because I get asked this question every time, and you have a right in asking this question, in allowing international reporters in Syria, I think personally, I think they should be allowed in, of course.
Let me just put a question to you, perhaps, which hasn't been put before. Let's assume you're lying. Let's assume you're completely wrong, and let's assume that in fact those civilians, those 1,000 civilians that have been killed by members of the security force who you are now acting as an apologist for. If that's true, there may yet be an international criminal court process. Members of the regime that you are speaking for, ultimately perhaps even yourself, may be called to account for what's happening in Syria. How do you feel about that?
You know, you're talking about assumptions that have no facts.
We'd love to confirm them, but you won't let journalists into your country.
Assumptions at least should rely on facts. Now,
how can we establish the facts? You won't let journalists into the country.
If it's a question of scapegoating Syria, which has happened all the way through, then, you know, that's fine. It's something that Syria is used to. But you can't just say things, you know, let us assume, and then ask you to comment
we are having to make assumptions because we can't confirm a thing because you won't let journalists into the country.